How's the painting work going over at the Nield?
Almost done. I have completed the painting work on the stage. So the stage and walls are now done. But all I've got to do is the door, and I'm pretty much completed the exciting part of the Nield.
What's the unexcited? No, I don't want to know what the unexcited. You mean the toilets to go?
Toilets? No, it's not actually. Just the foyer and all that rubbish. The bit that people see that doesn't really interest me.
You're such a geek.
I know.
This is the Sheer Isolation podcast. It's presented by Kieran Moore and Jon Ponting. Welcome to the Sheer Isolation podcast. Thank you for joining us this week for another half hour's worth of local music and just generally two people ranting about nothing in particular.
We are in episode 7.
Number 8.
Oh, 8. Yes. Ooh. Episode number 8. I've been seeing the feedback online, and it's been wonderful, lovely. Some lovely comments from various radio stations and across. It's wonderful. So thanks very much, guys. We're delighted to keep doing it.
We're just recording this before they've announced all the full measures of easing, but there are some easings coming into this week, so more shops and stuff will be coming open soon. But no word on venues, or do you know different?
No word on venues, and we don't know any different. And as I understand it, all the venues in the area that I associate with aren't making any plans as of yet. So it's still very much, we're going to be last. We're going to be considered and thought of last. And yeah, so nothing on the horizon for good news, I'm afraid, at the moment. So, although, did you see in Norway, they have just opened all their 200 capacity venues?
Oh, okay.
I learned that today on the, we talk about MVT, Music Venue Trust. They do a interview every day at 11 o'clock, which you can just log onto their Facebook and watch the interview, whoever they're chatting to. And one of the things that came up today was very much that. It was the fact that, Norway's opened their 200 cap venues. It was really interesting. And I Googled it and looked it all up, and it's like, oh, okay. So it can be done. And I don't know how far in Norway we are. So you could potentially see some small venues open this year.
Yeah, I know New Zealand are going on to 100 soon, 100 capacity.
Right, okay. It's interesting how every country does it slightly differently.
Yeah. First off, it's about time we played a track. It's my turn to pick a track this week.
Excellent.
So I've picked the guy, he's really well known around the Swindon music scene, Daryl Ball. Now, he's been in bands such as the Battlers, Southern Harmony, Els and the Southern Wild, kind of that Americana style, kind of that nice... I don't want to call it easy listening because that's probably quite insulting, but it's easy to sit in a bar, have a few drinks, good music to listen to, not too heavy, just something nice and chill. So this is a few years ago. He moved back to his home country of Ireland, but he is still doing music. He's working as a solo artist now, and he had a new track come out last month called Broken Sun, which you can find on various Spotifys and Facebooks and that. But I've picked a track that he recorded last year called Better Days. And I've picked this one, even though this happened, he made this before lockdown and before everyone was in isolation. The music video is a great example of how you can make a really good music video without leaving your living room. So this is Daryl Ball with Better Days.
Remind me what I'm doing.
got a new microphone. It's plugged in with my new digital interface. Hopefully it should sound clearer, louder, better.
I mean, considering you've probably got about 200 microphones in your spare room, I'm surprised it's taken you 8 weeks to plug one into your laptop.
It's quite embarrassing, really. I just not had the time. But I've just done it a minute ago. It took about 15 minutes to set up and do. And I was just like, why didn't I do this before? It literally took 30 seconds. So I'm glad I have, though.
Good.
Oh,
is there a cat?
Which cat did we see last time? Can you remember?
I think it was this cat. Are they similar looking cats?
No, one's grey and one's black.
Yeah, I think this was the cat we saw last time.
You want to go, don't you? You're not looking very happy.
No.
No, right, gone.
That cat stormed off.
We call him all sorts of rude names under our breaths.
Thing is, when the weather's like this, I don't see my cat. I won't see her till the autumn now.
Really?
So I'll have little passing glances. I'll put some food out every day or so. But yeah, she doesn't
comes
need
back to be fed.
Yeah, she doesn't.
We used to have this really old cat called Lottie. She was like 100 years old, and I swear to God, I was worried that she going to sat in the sun, she'd just burst into flames. But she was just like, we don't get old cats; they'll get dry out and go like basically, kindling. And I was worried that she sat in the sun that she'd just set on fire. She didn't. She lived to a ripe old age, but she never ended up as kindling. So
I'm so glad that someone is joining this conversation, because that's just gone really insane. Cats as kindling.
Cats as kindling. There's an art rock song for you right there.
As is the tradition now on this show, we do have a special guest joining us shortly, and we've got lady Helen Messenger, who she's a festival photographer.
She is. She. I think I met her when she came with BBC Introducing, and she came to the Lamb, or they came to the Lamb to do an outside broadcast, and I believe she was working for them in some capacity. So you do the usual. You meet them, you follow them on socials, and then I sort of interacted with her on Twitter, talking about all the kind of nice, cool music that we're into. And obviously, she happens to be a 2000 Trees photographer, or has been in the past, and so you kind of have those sort of little link ups which are lovely, and she's just like a really cool person, and I thought, wow, why not, let's get her on, because she'll have an interesting viewpoint or an angle, part of her industry that perhaps we haven't featured yet. So I thought it'd be nice to sort of see how she's getting on. Obviously the bands and that is by far the coolest thing to do.
Of course.
You do the couple shoots. Do you have to do that thing where you throw them a ball and they have to catch it, and it'll be like John?
Little prompts, yeah. I think what I like doing is taking photos of stuff while it's happening. So rather than trying to post stuff or make stuff happen in front of me, I think I'm better at just kind of capturing. I spot something and I'll go off and I'll capture it, which is really good for band stuff. But it's quite good for weddings. So all our wedding stuff is very candid. So it's quite similar in the way that you just see a little spot of emotion or just something happening or a movement happening, and you go off and kind of grab that. So I've kind of tried to take what I've learned from the music stuff into the wedding, definitely. And then the harder bit is the couple shoot, which I think has helped from doing band shoots. So I think band shoots are much more like doing portrait photography or couple shoots or that kind of thing. So they were very different. But I think weddings are probably closer to gigs, and kind of band shoots much more closer to doing couple shoots or family shoots or that.
So they are actually two different disciplines, aren't they?
They're very different. Yeah. Once you start realising you've got control of the situation, it's very different, because it's then up to you to try and get
stimulate it,
look the way you want to. But we always try and do with our couple stuff, kind of the same with the band stuff, is try and make it as natural as possible. So it's not about saying put your arm here or stand here. It's you kind of try and make stuff happen. So you use prompts, so you get them to say stuff to each other or do stuff, and then you just try and capture the natural,
non-awkward bit.
Yeah. I think those are always the best photos in any sort of way, and I think it helps, and it gets people.
I was looking at your website earlier, because obviously I knew you were a photographer, etc. But it's not necessarily something that I would necessarily go out of my way to go and look at. I was looking at it, and you actually got some fantastic shots in there. So just going back to what you said then about those moments in time, absolutely true. I looked through your website and I thought, bloody hell, there's some really good pictures here. Because you do trees, don't you?
I think I've done trees in some way, some form or another for about 6 years, maybe. It must be. I think it must be 5 or 6 years. Yeah, so it's usually, I've usually done it for press. I've never done it for festival, or I've done it for BSM, so I've done it for them last year, or I've done it,
Yes.
so it's usually for band. So yeah.
Yeah, see,
And
look, I always
I
keep
do as in-house, so that's quite fun because you get to go on and do the whole set. You don't have to have as much restrictions, and you can go and shoot around all over the place and do everything.
So actually, how did you get into being a photographer? How long did it take you to get to that standard of being able to do trees?
I started originally. I spent years. I've always liked music. I've always liked listening to music and being into bands, and I was always rubbish. I had a big stretch of not really listening to new music, which I think a lot of people do, because no one around me was. And I started to discover stuff, and I ended up, I think, a big period of not going to gigs. So I feel like I've missed this big section of music and this big section of gigs that I would have enjoyed. And I started to go to more, or try to go to more, and it was always me on my own, because none of my friends ever wanted to go and see the same bands as me or not. And I started to use it as a way of just being able to go to gigs and have something to do on your own. So before that, I've always done photography. I started doing a lot more when I started doing cricket photography.
Okay.
So the thing where I started doing more of it was, so my dad plays cricket. So I was there. I've always been there sort of every weekend or stuff. And I started bringing my camera along and taking photos, and people were like, oh,
they let you on the pitch to get action shots?
No, definitely against the rules. Yeah, don't stand a foot over there, you get in trouble. And obviously, like, all the players were like, oh, did you get that shot of me? Did you get this? And you get good feedback. And then I started doing things like if we had parties or a ball or some kind of event, I really liked doing those photos. Again, that kind of feeds back to the wedding stuff. You just sort of spot to a couple kind of, and you knew they were a couple, and they were stood together, and they just sort of looked nice and relaxed because, you know, they knew didn't think there was a camera on them, but there actually was.
That's quite cool.
Then, so I think I went to truck for the first year, and I was really old, and I was way older than everyone else. And I'd never been before, and everyone else had been for like 15 years, and I was like, no, this is like my first year. And I think I took some photos on my phone, and I was like, oh, maybe I could try and do band photos. So I just looked up how to do it and like what the best way to get in was. And I think the next year, trees and truck, I took my camera along, because trees are really good that you can take a camera in. And obviously, because they don't have an arena, you can just camp around the stages. There's no kind of in or out. You can have a camera and you can stand up to the barrier. You can't go in the photo pit. But obviously you can. So I just went up to the barrier at trees and truck and just took photos. And then I posted them online, and some of the bands, I think, All Us on Drugs and Creeper and different bands that I'd taken photos from, just from the barrier, kind of retweeted them and posted them up, and then I just emailed out to different blogs, and I think different sites. And Alt Corner picked up one of them. They're like, oh yeah, we've already seen your photos, because they were from the same bands, and they were like, yeah, come and do this. So I think once you've got a press contact, that really helped, because then you can get to the PRs and you can get into gigs, and that was the best way of doing it. And the same with local. There's loads of local gigs going on all the time. I took my camera everywhere. I took it to like open mic nights in Oxford and just did that, and just went to the pub and there was somebody playing, but I'd take their photo and then you post it up online and you tag them and they see it and they like it, and it just kind of grew from there, really.
What you're describing, obviously, that can escalate quite quickly, can't it, really?
Yeah, it takes time, and you end up, and it takes a bit of work. And I think I ended up, I think I messaged, or someone messaged Ronan from Night Shift for me and said, like, Helen took some good photos, because I was too scared to do it. I was like, no, they won't want to see them. And
for anybody who's listening, because no one's going to know what Night Shift is, but Night Shift is a fanzine based in Oxford, and it is one of the best local music fanzines in the UK.
It is. It's definitely one of the best. So right from the beginning, it was like, these photos are really great, and they got to go in. So then you've gotten in, and I did things like sort of message festivals about shooting for the festivals. And then for Alt Corner, I started looking after all the other photographers. So I was the one getting the press passes for the live music reviews, and looking after reviewers and the photographers, and kind of bringing on younger ones and getting a bit of a relationship with the PR, because that helps massively. So you can be quite a small site or a small blog, but if you've got that relationship and they can rely on you, and they know that if you send someone out, you know, they'll do a good job, they're right, you know, they'll turn up, and you've got that reliability, and it really sort of helps. I think building that up, again, for trees, you know, we'd get into trees with the photo pass, because they knew that we'd do what we say we do. We'd put up a review and we'd talk about the bands and we'd, you know, give a fair review.
I was just going to say, how are you adapting to what's been going on this year? Because obviously there's no festivals going on, everyone's cancelling their weddings. You said you've got like a day job currently, but I just wondered how you're kind of dealing with what we're going through.
Yeah, it's been quite a big change. I feel quite lucky because I literally handed my notice in. I'd kind of planned that I was going to hand my notice in at this point in kind of the end of March, because I knew the wedding season was starting out. We would manage to book in enough weddings, because the good thing with weddings is people book them in advance, so you kind of know what's coming in. And the plan was quit the job and then give myself enough time to go out and get the extra bits of work, because I do bits for Modern Art Gallery in Oxford, University of Oxford Music Department, and different bits and pieces. So I thought if I've got the time, I can go out and do that. So yeah, I planned that I was going to hand my notice in. 2 weeks later, kind of lockdown kicked in, and they said, "Do you want to stay?" Because they wanted handover and help, and it helped them. And I was like, yes. So it was a bit of a kick. So it was like I had this planned. You know, this was the first time I was going to get to go freelance. I had all this planned out, and obviously weddings. We had weddings starting from the start of March, and those couples have had to postpone either to late in the year or to next year, which is really hard for them. So it was kind of looking after them and being quite proactive with them and talking to them about, can we move? Can we try and keep the dates for next year? So it's just kind of shifted a lot of what's going to happen this year into next year and delaying it for another year. Obviously, I had quite a few band shoots and artist shoots set up, which just got cancelled. And obviously lots of artists, lots of bands have lost money, so it's like, are they going to be in a position where they can do a photo shoot afterwards? That might be difficult. You know, our band's going to come through it. Are they going to be able to, you know, keep going? And I think I always know as a photographer, you're an advantage. You don't have to have a photographer. You don't have to take a photographer on tour. You know, you can, if you want to, you can do your own promo photos. You don't have to pay someone to do it. It's always a nice to have. You know, people can do without us. So obviously, if people are struggling, we might struggle to be able to get kind of that extra work that we were hoping to be able to get. But we're lucky that I can do that. I can carry on working. I can carry on getting paid. So I feel very lucky that I can just stay at home.
So the dream of being completely freelance will have to wait until next year then? It will
have to be on hold. I think it'll probably happen. I'll probably try and, you know, keep us going for the rest. We'll see how it goes for this year.
Yeah.
See if, you know, small weddings or something can happen, or maybe we'll be able to go out and do other shoots. I think hopefully soon we should be able to do kind of distant shoots. I think the long lenses are going to come in very useful.
Yeah, of course.
I'm thinking my 7200 is going to be really good, because I can stand 100 foot away from someone, and
You're going to start doing paparazzi stuff.
Yeah, lots of
loads of money. Rake it in with a big rake.
Yeah, I like the paparazzi stuff. I like the stuff where I can stand miles away and go, I didn't know you were there. I didn't even realise. Yeah, so it's perfect. So just trying to make the best of that and just be glad that we can stay home, and we're lucky enough that we can do that.
You sound a little bit like a stalker now, so that's a bit.
I'm a really good stalker.
A really good stalker. So, Helen, do you want to introduce your track?
Yes. So my track is it's Katie Malco, and it's not her latest single because she put that out today or yesterday, but it's the one before from her debut album, and it's called Brooklyn. And I just thought, one, I absolutely love the song. I think Katie Malco's brilliant. I think she's amazing, and I like the fact, I just thought it was appropriate because it's a video that she's put together while she's in lockdown, and it's relating to memories, and it's kind of pieced together with bits that she's been filming. I just think she's done a great job while under lockdown trying to promote her album at the same time. And yeah, it's a lovely track, so I thought it'd be a good one.
I
And that was Katie Malco with her song, Brooklyn.
Why are you doing it all suave?
I just felt like, mix it up a little, see how it works.
You ruined it with that really high-pitched start to that sentence.
Katie I think she released an album on Alcopop a long time ago, and I believe this is her first solo album, or I'm not entirely sure, but anyway, her new album, and it's absolutely cracking. It comes out on the 12th of June, so it's literally brand new. It's not been released yet. And I think she had that dilemma a few weeks back where it's like, do I wait until this is all over? Do I just go ahead with it? And I think because she'd pressed vinyl, she's just gone ahead with it. And so the album is now sold out in advance on vinyl. I managed to get myself what I believe is probably the last copy on Amazon today. It's like pre-ordered it, one copy left on Smoky Green or whatever it is on Amazon. So I've got the album. I'm delighted she chose this Katie song because I didn't have to then. So
no, good track. Right. If any musicians or bands or photographers or anybody wants to get in touch with us, then you can drop us an email, sheerisolation@gmail.com, and we will have a read of your email. And as I said, we've been getting all kinds of great feedback and great information from all over the industry. Anyone who's been listening has been having a say, and it's all been really nice to hear your feedback. So yeah, get in touch with us. We'll if you've got a video to share, send us a link. We will put it in a future show.
We will share it, particularly from our general region, because that's the whole point of the podcast, is to support the local scene, Southwest. Get in touch, please. John, I'll tell you the best thing, right?
Go on, man.
I've got this microphone and it's plugged through this USB box, which is plugged into a mixing desk. It means every time one of my family walk past me, I can just bring the fader down, silence them, and turn it back up when they walk out the room.
Oh, brilliant. You've got a mute button.
Basically, got a mute button.
Why can't I have your mute button? That'd be far more entertaining.
Actually, I'll quickly show you. It's a really simple setup. Where is it? There it is. There's the mixing desk.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the USB box. It's just so simple.
And now you've got all that control.
And there's a microphone.
You could now. You mean you've got 6 channels there. You could get bands into your house or into your garden. Absolutely. Anyway. Get bands into your garden.
Spoiler alert. So because Trees isn't going ahead this year, I'm going to have a garden party in my garden in hopefully late July. Although my birthday's in June, but before my birthday, late July. I'm going to build a pallet stage out of pallets. I'm going to emulate the forest sessions.
The best stages are made from pallets.
The best things are made from pallets. You want to come to my house, everything's made out of pallets. I'm not joking.
This sounds
like... at night, I go to Wicks, and they've got this compound out the back, and I just go and nick pallets out the back. I ask permission first. It's not theft.
Got the impression that your garden's just full of rickety tree houses.
Oh my God, this is right. So John, I actually made myself a shed, an actual shed made out of pallets. It's an old, folded out. I don't know. When you come, you'll see it. It's great.
Yeah, don't spoil it for me. Don't spoil it for me. Right. Thank you for listening, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We will be back next week, same time, same place, wherever you're listening and whatever time you're listening.
But we will. Our guest next week is James from 2000 Trees.
Oh, good stuff. So,
yes.
2000 Trees and Arctangent, both festivals have had to postpone until next year.
Funny enough, we have also we've got a lady called Gok, who's also going to go do a future interview with us, and she is the co-founder of Arctangent. So we're going to do them both separately.
Lovely job. All right, Kieran, you're an absolute star for finding all these
people
John. To talk to. Look after yourself.
You too.
I know you will. See you next week.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah.